I've got perioral dermatitis, so kindly fuck off. But kindly fuck on off about it. Anyway, I wanted to touch on a couple things that changed after awakening. I just got back from the gym, and things I've noticed that have changed after the big shift, like the big shift. And it almost seems like I'm constantly shifting now, like perspective, focus, idea, belief. Yeah, it feels like a constant shifting between all of that now. So it feels like there was a big shift, and now it's just like always happening. But there's some things I noticed. I don't know, like, so I used to be a super avid dreamer, like very vivid dreams, very real feeling, very like symbolic and like, kind of like revelations type dreams and stuff like that. I don't really dream like that anymore. It's something I only noticed like a while ago. It's like, oh, and I haven't dreamt like that or remembered a dream like that, I guess, since awakening or whatever. And it almost, I don't know why, like if we're gonna like play around with this and like look for a reason why, I would say maybe because it really feels like wake state and dream state are like the same thing. It's just kind of your mind or consciousness projecting a reality, projecting like an experience, I guess. So I don't really dream anymore. I mean, I do sometimes, like recently I remembered one. I also think that it's because a lot of thought and thought pattern kind of becomes very, very apparent. So a lot of my thought patterns and belief systems and a lot of things I think, people be like, oh, your habits don't stop and stuff. And yeah, like enlightenment doesn't stop your habits, but it makes you very, very aware of stuff. Like you're like awareness. So you're observing, and with observation, change can happen. So it almost feels like dreams used to show up, bad ones, really symbolic ones that seemed really meaningful, used to show up to kind of show me where I was assigning meaning to things and where I was having a belief about something. And now it's just like, I don't need a dream to show me some subconscious like hidden thing most of the time, but it still can happen, and it still does happen. But yeah, I mean, I don't really dream that much anymore. Another thing is I'm finally just getting the desire to work out back. You guys might not know this about me and my expression and like all this stuff, but I was very into lifting, very structured, like lifting, structured workouts. I've always been a very active person, like since I was little. So, maybe a year ago, it's probably been a year since I've felt the actual like desire to work out. But it's like coming back where I feel like my interests and stuff are kind of getting reintegrated, I guess, if that makes sense. So I actually, there was like the year before wasn't when I like had my big, I want to say aha moment, but it was more like an oh shit moment. But before that, there was like months of lead up. So there was months of just kind of like quieting down, slowing down, and being very content, but not having any desire to do anything that was super strenuous, whether that be thinking or practice or action, like with your body. Like I just didn't give a fuck. Like it probably looked like I was very depressed to people around me because I didn't really have a desire to work towards anything. I just felt very okay with the moment. So yeah, it's only just now coming back where I'm like, I want to get back, like lift, like I want like structure, like my body's kind of like, okay, so yeah, I don't know, I think that's worth like noting. Other things are psychedelics. So like, I know a lot of people, like, it's really funny because a lot of people thought I was like on like fucking high on shrooms, like the first videos that I made, where like right after, you know, like a month after, where I was just kind of like, you know, I think there's some are still up. I privated a lot of my videos, but some are still up. And you know, people thought I was high on shrooms. I had never done any psychedelic in my life. I was always scared of the experience. I don't know, I was just always scared of what was in my subconscious and like what was hiding in there. And yeah, psychedelics always scared the shit out of me. But it's funny because I think people thought I tried psychedelics, and I think a lot of people have this understanding that like psychedelics get you the experience of like awakening. Like that's how you, like, some people think like you become enlightened through some psychedelics, or that's a possibility. And like, what the fuck do I know? I don't know any of that, to be honest. Like, maybe somebody had that experience. But I tried psychedelics maybe like, I tried shrooms like 2 weeks ago, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I think. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna be like, you know, I was curious what it's like, you know, after this, because it's almost like the seeing, whatever you want to call it, it's a complete shift in the way that you view reality, both physically, mentally, you know, like it's a deconstruction of the way that you're viewing all of this stuff, and then I guess like a reconstruction. Just constantly feels like it's like breaking and morphing and morphing and breaking. It's this like breathing, living enlightenment, okay, awakening. Feels like that. And I was like, okay, well, how would it feel for this to be my reality, but for me to, you know, take like something that's mind altering and whatever. And I didn't trip balls or anything. I mean, I kind of, you know, at one point I did. I loved it. I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. You know, do I feel like there's a huge need for it or anything like that? No, like, I don't feel like there's a need for it at all. But I do feel like though that state of viewing things, I guess you could call, not hallucinating or anything like that, but I guess the brightness, the contrast of things when you're like high on shrooms, I guess, is very similar to like when you're like super samadhi'd out. That's like what I'm gonna call it. It's similar, if not like the same, but it's like so elated and innocent and beautiful. And yeah, it's like a similar feeling, but it's not like a permanent shift, I guess. But also I don't know the difference, because like when I just don't know. I don't know. Yeah, so I tried shrooms, but it wasn't before awakening or like for awakening. It was literally like 2 weeks ago. Enjoyed it, 10 out of 10, would recommend. And yeah, a lot has kind of changed, but not, you know, it's not this, I don't know, like it's not, there's no desire to really talk about non-duality, to be honest, in a mystified way at all anymore. I think before I was very like, and I think with anybody you get very amazed, because it's a permanent, it's almost like you're high, but you're fucking high all the time. Not high necessarily emotionally where you're elated, but you're just, the way that you're viewing reality is permanently different and shifted. And it's like you wake up and you're still in it. You go to bed, you know, you live out your day, you're still in it. There's really not like a coming down or a unseeing what you saw. There's only deepening and reintegrating back into it. So reintegrating the self back into it, which is a lot of what I talk about. But yeah, there's not a need to really talk about non-duality or mystify or describe what it's like to see things like this, because you know, that's not really that's cool. It's more of like, I have more of a desire to talk about the game of life, to kind of like, I guess, instead of be up here and describe what it's like up here. And I know, like, people are gonna be like, you guys, not gonna deal with you today. I have more of a desire to kind of express my person, come down here and like play the game, if that makes sense. Play the game and then like love on characters. You can take that for whatever. And you guys probably think I'm not like loving or whatever. It's really funny. But I have more of a desire to kind of not conceptually, that's the thing, like I don't have a desire to conceptually share this, because that's what everybody was doing, you know, when you first awaken, you like want to describe it so bad, and it's like you want to conceptually share it and teach it and be a teacher. I don't give a fuck about being a teacher. I don't give a fuck about sharing this conceptually, but I think I do give quite a fuck about people embracing their life and finding a new, it doesn't have to be my perspective, it doesn't have to be some samadhi perspective, I know, like, no perspective, whatever, but being able to live life and view themselves and the world through a different perspective that they didn't think was possible. I think that excites me. That's something I care more about talking about. You know, I still like my rants, you know, that's like, it's more funny. To me, it's like, it brings me joy in a way where I'm like, oh, this is funny, it's just entertaining, I like it, I watch my own videos, yes I do. But yeah, I don't like feel the need to talk about it. I just feel the need to show people that you could experience a new normal. And, you know, I don't give a fuck about traditional enlightenment or things that you traditionally should learn, or how anything's supposed to be, or an idea of a should be, or whatever. I think I just care about everybody and anybody that's willing to receive it, knowing that you can live a completely different normal. And this is coming from somebody that was extremely fucking sad for a very long time. And I can't credit this to awakening. I can say that awakening was my little path. It was my path, path to experience. It was something that was, you know, I think it was like destined for me to, you know, whatever, experience in my life. And it was just my way. You know, some people need to touch the bottom of some people need to go peek behind the curtain to start living their life. And I think I was one of those people. I had to go like get to rock bottom, get to absolutely nothing, nowhere, nothing, emptiness, to experience the fullness of it. And I want to show people that now. There's more of a desire to talk about the fullness, how good life can be, how exciting life can be, that you can completely create a new normal. And it's not a non-dual awakening away. It is not 800 therapy sessions away. It's right here, right now, and it's a shift that's always available to you. You know, you don't need a non-dual shift of knowing. You know, all you need is a semi-shift, like little shifts towards feeling good. You know, I know that might seem whatever. I don't care. All I'm saying is I don't care. What I do care about is showing people how good life could be, how different it could be when you don't think it's possible, you know. It's the possibility of really feeling freedom in your bones and love. You know, that there's no lack of love. I say that a lot, but that there's no lack of love. You know, it's not bound up in anything. It's always available. And people be like, you have a funny way of showing it. I do have a funny way of showing it. I have multiple ways of showing it, and they all feel fucking good. They all feel very good. So